This is going to be a real quick video about Kill Team. My initial video of rumours and spoilers for Kill Team has somewhat been ruined by GW pretty much announcing everything that comes in the first wave. Stuff that hasn't been announced, like the price, the rumour I've heard is it'll be priced the same as Necromunda, which is £75. However, I can remember certainly some things being priced somewhat higher. It'll either be 75 or 95 because I've been told it's the same as a starter, and then I asked a few questions about that and it may well be 75, and I'm hoping so because there's less miniatures in it, though there are a huge amount of terrain and the board. Talking about it in more general terms, they've announced the first of the battle zones, the scenery sets with accompanying terrain. There's going to be a Death World one as well, which is going to have the Death World plants on, because those didn't sell brilliantly when they were introduced, and they're going to repackage them with a terrain board for Kill Team that gives you a reasonable amount of the Death Zone terrain on a Kill Team map. You've started seeing the Kill Team expansions, so you've got the one branded as Space Wolves, but which is in fact basically a Space Marine starter, and the one branded for Orcs. They both come with terrain sets. They're going to be priced cheaper than their component parts, which is, and this is something I don't have hard information on, probably around 30 quid. Because the terrain sets that you're seeing are in the 20 to 25 range, the miniatures are in the 15 to 20 range, and that's cheaper than the component parts. So there have been some points of controversy. Tactics cards. In this starter you get the tactics, you get generic tactic cards, and you get tactics cards for Genestealer Cults and Adeptus Mechanicus. In the Orc starter you get Orc tactic cards. In the Space Wolf starter you get some Space Marine tactics cards. People are raging about having to buy every supplement as if it's X-Wing. If you're not going to play Orcs, you don't need to buy the Orc starter. If you're not going to play Dark Eldar, you don't need to buy the Dark Eldar starter, because the tactics cards in there are for them. Similarly, in the Orc starter there's Orc counters, which are Orc style counters. Those are pretty much the same as the counters in the base set or the Space Marine set, they're just Orc style. You've got to bear in mind that Kill Team is pitched as being a product for particularly people who don't want to collect a huge amount of stuff straight away. So that's two main demographic groups. That's skirmish gamers, who are otherwise known as dad gamers, and that's kids. Very deliberately it's pitched so that kids can get into it. It's an intro product. The school league next year is going to be Kill Team. They will look at sending some Kill Team stuff to schools most likely, if you've got a school club registered with GW. And if you're a teacher watching this and you're interested in wargaming and you want to start a school club, talk to Games Workshop and they will send you some stuff. But it's also pitched as competitive play being possible. Again, that's probably why they've only launched it with the starting faction they've launched it with, and those starting factions have got between 2 and 6 data sheets that you can select from. And they've got certain equipment you can select from, because they need to have the game balanced. There's been a bunch of people going, but I can't use knights in Kill Team. My Sir Didymus is incredibly stealthy. He'll just pop out of the trees and go, surprise heretics, and then melt everybody with his rapid fire battle cannon in his 12-metre giant robot. There's been a lot of moaning about you don't get Custodes in Kill Team. Really? you don't get this, you don't get that. They've balanced it for competitive play, so you can't have everything. People have complained you don't get Forge World stuff. The amount of problems in competitive 8th edition because of Forge World stuff is pretty big. Does everybody remember the Gilliman list where it got 3 planes from Forge World because they'd undercosted them? So, they've looked at launching most factions in 40k in the initial release. They've confirmed the first expansion, which is Rogue Trader, which brings in Rogue Traders and is a spaceship-based game. Picture things like Zone Mortalis. Picture things like Space Hulk. Picture combat in confined quarters. So you'll get additional rules for that. You'll get 2 additional sets of models. You'll get more tactics cards, more environment cards, things like that. The rumour I've heard for the supplement after that is that it's based around Inquisitors. That's literally all I know at this point. So make of that what you will. That may not be the case. They might slip another big expansion in. There will, however, be 3 years of support. That's what GW are talking about when they talk about Kill Team being a long-term thing. Kill Team will be in stores. Kill Team will have competitive play. Kill Team will have events at Nova. Kill Team will have a lot of effort put into it because it's a great intro product. It's a great product for kids. It's a product where you can paint a squad up and that's your force, but maybe I'll try some Tau. Maybe I'll try some Dark Eldar. Maybe I'll try a different Space Marine chapter. And that's what it's to get people into doing. To collecting a range of models, to bringing back the casual gamers and the skirmish gamers, to pulling them away from things like, let's have a think of some skirmish games that are doing okay at the moment, Guild Ball, to give people that half-hour gaming experience that's reasonably balanced and is a reasonably fair game, but is set in the 40k universe. And they don't have to paint up huge amounts of terrain, and they don't have to paint up huge amounts of models. 5 to 10 models. A 22-inch by 30-inch board with accompanying terrain, but you can still play it on a Realm of Battle tile or a Sector Imperialist tile. You can combine the sets that you buy of the terrain together to form a much bigger board. So you combine 2 sets together and suddenly you've got a 44 by 30-inch board. Again, that's deliberate. That's why the backside of all of these is a Sector Imperialist set, because then you can combine it. But Kill Team is a new core product for GW. It's a new way of playing 40k. They will look at adding more elements to it. It will get continual White Dwarf support. There will be releases probably almost every month for Kill Team. Most likely the starter faction boxes. So we've seen Orcs, we've seen Space Marines, there's going to be more. You've got to accept that. And there will be miniatures releases that go with Kill Team and with Kill Team rules. So the Genestealer Cult Aberrants are going to be coming out as something accompanying Kill Team long before the Genestealer Cult Codex, because that's still a little while away. Because it's going to be the other side at least of Adeptus Titanicus, which is late August, in the same way that Kill Team is late July. So, Kill Team is full of exciting stuff. What you need to play Kill Team? The rulebook. You don't need to use the tactics cards. You don't need to use anything that you don't already have except the rulebook. If you want to get in on the starter set, I will be, but if you want to get in on the starter set, it is a very reasonably priced way of getting a board, a big pile of terrain to go on that board, 2 factions, and all the other bits that you need, as well as the rulebook. But if you just want to collect your faction, rulebook Orc starter, rulebook Space Marine starter, rulebook Dark Eldar starter, you can do it like that. And that's why this is an intro product. You've got low barriers to entry. Your friend's got the rulebook. He's shown you how to play. It's not that complicated. He'll let you read it during lunchtimes at school. You go and get your Dark Eldar starter, and there you are. You go and get your Space Marine starter, and there you are. You've got a collection of Space Marines from different places. The Marine they give you free in Games Workshop, the Marine from the front of the magazine, First Strike. First Strike will give you enough between the Plague Marines and the Poxwalkers and the Reavers and the Primaris Marines to put together 2 factions, depending on how you do it. So bear in mind it's a starter product, bear in mind it is particularly pitched at skirmish gamers, but also bear in mind it is its own developed thing. A lot of people have been talking about, well, what about Shadow War Armageddon? Shadow War Armageddon was one person's passion project. It was really only balanced for the 3 starter factions. It was a release along with some terrain that was ready that they put in a big box and they sold, with a couple of factions worth of models, but it was a fire and forget product. Much like Space Hulk. Space Hulk didn't really get any expansions. Shadow War Armageddon didn't really get any expansions. Games Workshop came back to it because it was so popular. That surprised them. They did not expect it to sell out literally the morning they put it on sale. Kill Team is the lesson they've learned from Shadow War Armageddon, that there is a huge untapped market for 40k small scale skirmish, that people want to have a little squad of their guys, maybe from a few different units in the Codex. So you've seen the Adeptus Mechanicus thing, where they've got 4 data sheets they can pick from 2 separate kits. Genestealer Cult are going to be having hybrids, cultists, aberrants, maybe a couple of other little bits and bobs. They'll go through all these factions to get people ready for launch. So Thousand Sons will have Thousand Sons Marines. They'll most likely have the Bird Beastmen guys, whose names I can't remember, Zangors. But suddenly you've got a unit of Thousand Sons and a unit of Zangors. Maybe I'll add a HQ. Maybe I'll add some Terminators. Oh, okay, so that's 750 points. What do I need to do to make that 1,000? And suddenly you're able to play 8th edition. That's what this is about. So, Kill Team, I'm really interested in it. I've got several kill teams ready. This has got me to assemble my Deathwatch Overkill Deathwatch guys. So I've got 7 guys I'm going to paint up, and then when game comes out I'll have Genestealer Cult, I'll have my Carcharodons, I'll have my Warriors of Iron, I'll have the Deathwatch kill team. I've got some Rogue Trader Eldar that are sat in a box waiting for this, and have been sat in a box waiting for this for 2 years, that I'll either use for Dark Eldar or I'll use for an Eldar faction if there's enough flexibility to build them out of the Eldar options. I can just use the Dark Eldar, because then at least I can give the infantry heavy weapons, because these are the Eldar pirates from Rogue Trader. They've got heavy weapons, they've got shuriken catapults, they've got las guns. I've got probably 8 or 9 of the factions that's starting out of the box. More factions will get released. If there is demand for it, you'll probably see some stuff from Forge World get rules, but hopefully they playtest the absolute bejesus out of it, because if suddenly people are deploying Thalax and just murdering everybody because people didn't read the rules through properly before they put the playtest stuff up online for everybody to use, it's not going to be popular. And that's the issue with Forge World. It's a much smaller development team who've been playing their own version of 40k for 10 years. The Age of Darkness rules is close to their bespoke version of 40k that they've been playing, but they've been playing it internalising all these rules from 4th and 5th and 6th edition in 7th, and people are going, hold on, that's not how this works. because they play their own custom set of rules, and they've got all these house rules that they use, and that bleeds into what they point things at. So the Forge World stuff got put out, and a lot of it has, some of it's been adjusted somewhat because the points were far lower than they should have been. I think Leviathans are probably still a little bit undercosted. But Kill Team is going to run for years. Kill Team is going to get pushed really heavily. Kill Team is going to get pushed particularly towards the younger market. They know that the dad gamers, the skirmish gamers, are going to come and hoover all this stuff up because it hits the kid demographic and it hits the dad gamer demographic. You've got the 40k core in the middle, but you're bringing in the older players, the people who played Rogue Trader, who played Adeptus Titanicus, the people who played it before it got popular with kids, back in the late 80s and the early 90s. The people who played 2nd edition are going to get sucked in by Kill Team because it scratches that itch. The people who left it a few years ago, the people who they played 3rd Ed, they didn't, and off they went. Which, to be fair, was me for about 4 years. But it's also pitched at kids. Kill Team is going to be something I'm going to put a fair amount of effort into regarding videos. It'll start with a bunch of painting and terrain videos, but it will get to bat reps. Essentially, as I get everything painted up to do fully painted bat reps. But yeah, it's something that I really, really like the look of. So Age of Sigmar 2 looks pretty good, and I'm painting everything up for it from the Soul Wars box and from the easy build boxes, but I know it's going to take a while to do. Kill Team, I've got the stuff ready to go. Kill Team, if I want more stuff ready to go, do it in a week. I can turn out high tabletop standard squad for Kill Team in a week. And so can you guys. And now you start to see more of the attraction to it. You can play it painted. Suddenly you're playing it on really nice terrain. You're playing with fully painted forces, and you've not had to put that much effort into it. So, I'm hugely excited for it. We will see further developments. There'll be news coming out from Games Workshop on a daily basis up until launch. And then you're going to start seeing some of the trailers for what's going to come next. The next faction boxes, the next scenery and map box, which will be the Death World box. After that, you might start seeing some very early teasers for Rogue Trader. But yeah, Kill Team looks great. I'm getting it. If you're a skirmish gamer, I would highly recommend you get it as well. If you've got a giant collection of Games Workshop stuff, they are putting out the rulebook separately. You can just get that. The counters you'll be able to get from somewhere. Basically, if people will start parting things out on eBay, because people are going to pick things up. People will pick up the Orc faction starter and part it up. They'll part out the cards, they'll part out the models, because they'll buy it for the servo haulers. They'll do it as a way of getting the terrain cheap, and then they'll flog the rest of it and try and make a big chunk of their money back, so they've got the terrain at a big discount. But this is going to be, I think, the big marketing push for the next couple of years. It's Kill Team, particularly pitched towards young people, particularly pitched towards competitive play, and particularly pitched towards bringing people back into the hobby, which 8th has been really successful at, and Age of Sigmar 2 has been reasonably successful at, which is why Games Workshop have got record profits, and they're the highest performing company in the FTSE 100 index. Literally, they're the best performing company in the FTSE in terms of share price rise. And it's because of the changes they've made. They're doing stuff, a lot of smart decisions. Right, if you've liked this video, hit like or subscribe, preferably subscribe. If you've got a strong opinion, leave a comment below. Otherwise, good gaming.